What's up, guys? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Monday, October 9th, 2017. I'm Tim Gettys, joined by Fran Mirabella III.
What is up? Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so happy this is finally happening.
Me too.
You've never been on Kind of Funny Content.
I've never even been here.
Officially,
it's crazy.
You were at Kind of Funny Live 3,
of
you're
course.
in that.
Yeah.
Obviously, who could forget?
I was at 2 as well. I only missed the first one.
Yeah. But you were in 3 though.
Oh yeah.
Like you were part of the show.
I was.
You were feeling the verdict. Yeah, it was
Yes.
fantastic. Some would say.
Exactly.
But I'm very happy to have you here, Greg.
Thanks, man.
Greg Miller will return tomorrow. But for today, I was like, all right, the Nintendo World Championships are going to happen this weekend. If any news were to come from it, not that anything really did, I want Fran Mirabella here by my side to talk
Old
about
school
this
Nintendo.
stuff. Hell yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
You made the Nintendo team.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was part of it anyway. It was the review scores that I was so well known for.
Oh, exactly. 7.9.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it was. Mario Kart Double Dash. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the it's Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday we get together right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to talk about video games and news and all the stuff coming out that you need to know about. You can get it on Twitch, like I just mentioned, live, or you can get it on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames when it goes up as a VOD, or you can get it on iTunes or podcast services around the globe. I'm a little rusty. It was a hard night last night.
I've heard. I mean, I'm not going to tell them all about it.
They already know. I was out with Nick. He was doing the comedy stuff. Nick didn't go up to 1:30. Oh my God, I was very drunk.
That's all right.
But
I got your back.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. How you been? What have you been playing, Fran?
What? Take a guess, Tim. What do you think I've been playing?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
A lot of it.
For some of you may not know, but I'm Mr. Destiny at IGN along with Destin, CJ Gibson, Sean Finnegan on our Fire Team chat show.
I saw your new banner that you guys put up for the show, where you guys look like a broke-ass boy band.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a sad gamer boy band or something like that. But man, I've been playing a ton of Destiny 2. I did check out very briefly the Battlefront 2 beta. Not that much time. Checked out GT Sport, has a demo right now.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm grinding. Like Destiny 2 is all about grinding. So I'm spending a lot of time in it. And I can't wait to play Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh my God, yes. So you stream a lot on twitch.tv/FM3?
FM3 _. I still got to get the 3 characters. Well, you got to go to Twitch to get it, but it's pretty easy to find if you go to FM3. Thanks for the shout out.
Of course, man. Of course. I've been playing still Cuphead. A lot of it. I am in love with that game, Fran. It is so good. Have you spent any time with it?
It's on my list. You know, I got to get my hunter started and then come back to real life.
Of course.
But let me ask you, like, have you always liked shooters like that? Or is it something about Cuphead?
Oh, well, it's definitely something about Cuphead.
Okay.
And that game is beautiful and everything about it is just like, the amount of love and work put in that game makes me like, I need to play this. It's so unique just from a style perspective, right? But on top of that, I have been a fan of Contra and Metal Slug and that type of games. I love platformers. They're probably my favorite genre. Not that this is that necessarily,
you do
but
jumping,
it's but man, I love it so much and it is so brutal and so hard. But I keep saying this, it might be the most rewarding video game I've ever played.
Wow.
And I'm getting there, man. I'm slogging through it. I'm at the penultimate boss.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you play co-op at all? Or
no,
just solo?
I have just been playing solo.
That's hardcore. That's the way to do it, I guess.
Is.
But I think if you play co-op, you get a few perks, make things a little bit easier, but it's still brutal, right?
Well, what's hard about co-op, in my experience, playing Cuphead, is there's too much going on screen. So when you have two people shooting, it gets complicated to see what's
you just adds
yours
one
and what's
more
theirs.
Thing shooting all over the place.
Absolutely, and it's a little much. But
sense.
I'm getting close. And man, the second to last boss is so freaking infuriating.
I can imagine.
But I'm hoping we get through it.
I can't wait to play it.
So it's now time for what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have 4 stories.
A baker's dozen.
Thank you, cool Greg. The first story comes from IGN. One Jonathan Dornbush reports the Nintendo World Championships winner revealed. Thomas Gonda took home the top spot in the Nintendo World Championships 2017, defeating returning champ John Numbers in a fierce, long competition representing Nintendo's growing presence in the competitive gaming space. The third Nintendo World Championship, following in the footsteps of 2015's in the original back in 1990, challenged players with a variety of exciting and surprising game challenges in everything from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey to Balloon Fight to Bird and Beans, a WarioWare Inc. micro game before becoming a DSiWare game in 2009. Quote, we we really want to focus in on games that make sense. The competition rules make sense. There's a clear objective, Bill Trennan explained. It's easy for a fan to understand what people have to do. It's easy for the player to understand what they have to do, but it's still a game that's fun to play and one that's fun to watch. Honing in on those specific challenges, like a Breath of the Wild shield surfing race, a Tetris high score run, or a Mario Party 2 minigame gauntlet came from rounds of internal testing by the Nintendo Treehouse team. Quote, we test the tournament and we test it rigorously before we get to New York, and that impacts game selection. Is it fun to play? Is it fun to watch? And sometimes you think you have a good idea and it's not, Trennan says. If we look at the spectrum, esports is really on one extreme, and on the very other side of the spectrum, you've got what we call competitive fun. I still classify us in this competitive fun range because we do want to make sure our content is accessible with hardware. And I think we've really done that with the Switch, Dave Bowser says, the VP of Nintendo, whose actual name is Dave Bowser.
Yeah, I still don't believe it.
It's really, really weird. We've got great content on the device. More to come, obviously, since we're in the early stages. The event also lasted more than an hour over its intended runtime. We'll learn from each one of these events and determine how we can do it better the next time, Bowser said, speaking to IGN before the event about what the future may hold for more World Championships and other Nintendo-produced competitions. Did you get to watch any of it?
Yeah, I did. I watched mostly towards the end when things were heating up between Numbers and Thomas G. Before I mention that, I really, shout out to Bill Trennan, my boy. I've known that man for a long time, but you try to make it sound hard in the Treehouse. Man, we were playing the games,
rigorously
hours, late nights with all the games.
Mario Party 2.
I'm just kidding. I do appreciate that they tried to figure it out, but I like in the statement it's so official.
Yeah.
Dude, you were having some fun in the Treehouse for a while till you figure out, all right, let's go with these.
I love Bill Trennan so much, and
He's great,
my
man.
favorite thing about him, I have to be honest, is every single time I see him, he's making fun of you.
If you put him and Greg Miller in a room, and I was the only other one in there, I wouldn't make it out alive. Between the two of them, just shot after
constant
shot.
roast fest, man.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
It's
I
out
love
of
it.
love. I love both those guys. But yeah, Bill Trennan I've known for a long time. Super talented, originally translator for Miyamoto, doing a ton of his interviews, but now he's just part of the Nintendo
one of the Nintendo
meta.
dudes.
He's been there forever. So the Nintendo World Championships, yeah. So I don't follow them religiously, but I did watch a little bit of 2015 and then now 2017. I thought it was really cool to watch Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, obviously they saved it till the end because that was the big payoff. But man, I'm just so excited for the game, and to see these guys have to go into the game. They've never played those levels, have not played, I assume, that much Super Mario Odyssey, maybe not
If
that
any
much
at
at all,
all.
right? Depending on if they've made it to any events. And yeah, having to go in blind and seeing what, actually the match before Numbers, really, he crushed the level. He was just doing all the right stuff. It was almost as if he'd played it before.
But it was just blind. He was just going in.
I was like, this guy's a wizard, and he won the 2015 championships. The wizard, exactly. See what I did there? I didn't mean to, but I'll take credit for it. So I was like, man, he's gonna crush it. And then they got to the big open 3D boss level, and things just changed. That's how it goes. Adapting in real time to I've never played with this before, and the pressure. I've played under those circumstances before. I think we all have. Where the friend
you were at the Super Smash Brothers tournament they did.
That's right, I did
at E3 when before Smash Brothers Wii U was out.
Yeah, basically they had a Super Smash Brothers tournament at E3 several years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
It was the year.
They continued to do it.
I'm pretty sure it was the year before the last Nintendo World Championship.
Yeah, but what they had was sort of the media selection, and it wasn't really an in-earnest competition. It was a quick play round. Man, I still would have had that, I swear. But they they randomized your characters.
Yeah.
And that was lame, man. Why didn't you just let me choose the characters I knew? But anyway, congratulations to Thomas G, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was crazy. So I watched the entire thing, and I thought it was going to be an hour-long show, and it ended up being
almost
4.5 hours. And I watched from beginning to end, and I was shocked at the production quality and the level at which they took this seriously and tried to make it a really entertaining product. Obviously, we look at this stuff from the video side as well as just the entertainment side. And I thought they did a great job of keeping people's attention and making it the esports aspect accessible. It was a little heavy-handed in the commentary and treating it like it's sports.
Yeah.
But I think that's important for
it is
what they're trying to do. And the commentator they had, Jordan something or other. Oh my God, he was such a fantastic voice throughout. He was there the entire time, and his commentary was on point. He did a great job leading the conversation and making it clear what the competitors were doing in every single game. And they had a rotating cast of color commentary with Audrey Drake and with Bill Trennan and some other Treehouse people.
Andrew Renee hosted.
And Andrew Renee hosted. Obviously, she killed it. Yeah. And it was just like, I was like, all right, this is great. But I was impressed by the games that they chose throughout it. Like, it being such a long show, I appreciated the fact that there was 24 participants. And instead of it being first round knocks out 12 of them and you whittle it down, they did a really good job of keeping everyone around for a long time. Yeah. So you can kind of like have favorites and like root for people or root against people. Yeah. And it was really cool how they started off with Breath of the Wild, which was kind of a obvious pick. Yeah. But the shield surfing was an interesting like nuance to it. And then as they kept going through, they started getting into the most obscure games. The Bird and Beans thing was like, what the fuck? They did Mario Party 2. It's like, who would have saw that coming? And,
I didn't notice they played Mario Party 2. Wow.
And they played Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color, the competitive 2-player mode on Game Boy Colors.
I think that's so cool, though. Like, that's Nintendo's DNA. Yeah. And for them to not only look at it as, here, Splatoon 2 is out and Mario Odyssey. Like, they could have done that. It could have been purely marketing, right?
They did. And that's what I think everyone expected it to be that because it's Nintendo.
It's in there.
It's obvious what they're going to do. There's going to be ARMS. There's going to be like Splatoon. There's going to be Smash Bros. But I thought they did a great job of having that, but then also having a level of surprise coming in there and a bunch of like Tetris on the Game Boy, which is like perfect, right? Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like, it was very obscure, and they did a good job of finding modes and things that'll be fun. They played Smash Brothers traditionally, but they also did a home run bat challenge of who can get the high score in that. I'm like, this is great where it's really pushing these people's Nintendo knowledge and skill base.
Like, if you never touched some of those games, like you were sweating up there, I'm sure.
And there was some people, I mean, there was different age brackets too, and some of there was these 8-year-old kids just dominating. But it was clear that all these people knew these fucking games. Like, even for the home run bat thing, I was like, I couldn't believe the scores they were getting. Like, it's almost as if they were prepared, but they weren't. They didn't know the only game they knew they were going to do is Metroid Samus Returns. Yeah. And did you play that game?
No, not yet. I have the collector's edition, and again, as soon as I get past this little hump in Destiny 2, I'm getting to it.
It's fantastic, but there's a boss fight in it that's very, very challenging, and that was one of the things they had to compete in. And I was just,
if you didn't play it yet, you were screwed,
man.
But they knew they were playing it. I'm sure everybody did. So, did you have any like favorite games out of it that you thought were the best?
I was waiting for some type of announcement. I was waiting for like a big reveal, or what I was really hoping for was Super Smash Brothers being announced, a port on Switch, like a deluxe version or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like I know it's too early for the next one or whatever, but it's like I can't believe we haven't got a deluxe port. Yeah. And I was not convinced they were going to do it, but I was like, if they're going to, now's a great time. Have that be like the final announcement or whatever. But Smash came really early, and it made it clear for Wii U, and I was like, all right, the dream's dead.
What did you think of Reggie's little joke in the beginning where they bleeped him out?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, but it's like I wish there was a bit more of a payoff. Like I wish, last time at the 2015 World Championships, they did announce Earthbound Beginnings, which is not. Yeah, it's not like whatever, but I mean that's a big deal for fans. Yeah, so there wasn't any announcements. They announced ARMS new DLC, but that's
okay.
That's fine.
You're just not an ARMS guy.
No, I love ARMS.
Oh, you love ARMS.
I love ARMS.
Just didn't do it for you in terms.
But I mean, I wanted a new game announcement. I wanted something like substantial.
Asking for a lot. I think.
Really, I wanted either Mario Maker or Smash Brothers.
Oh my god!
And both of those, I think, are they're missing on the Switch because they're so easy to port over.
Yeah, and that's what you said, like a port. There's or if they were just like, oh yeah, and now we're bringing GameCube games to the Switch.
Exactly.
In the e-store, the eShop. So stuff like that would have been really cool.
Yeah. But then once I saw the finale, it became very clear. It's like, they're gonna have Mario Odyssey be the last thing because it is a marketing, and they did a good job with it. I think it showed off the game very well.
Oh my goodness! And I can't wait to play that game.
Yeah, it was fun. But I mean, the Mario Party section was great. I think that the Mario Deluxe game was awesome to see because it was like the most obscure 2-player mode on a Game Boy Color game, and the competition was like fun to watch. Yeah. So anyway, shout out to you guys, Nintendo. Like, you did a great job.
Yeah, awesome job. Do we still have time for a quick question for
100%.
you? If you had to pick 2 games that were not in it that you would have loved to see in the competition for competitive fun, what would those 2 games be?
I mean, I don't know.
I have 2 that I can start off with.
They did a really good job of having all the things that you'd
They
expect
didn't do anything
them.
wrong.
With Mario, they had Mario Kart, ARMS, Splatoon. They had all the big games, Smash, like all the big multiplayer games they had. But the problem with it is it's like licensing and all that stuff. Because busting out GoldenEye would be awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, sure. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Licensing would be problem number one. And then they just didn't, that's just not Nintendo style, I think, in terms of the
content.
the gore.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
they're not against it, but it's not like their brand. That's a good call. I didn't think of that. That would be
What do you got?
The two that occurred to me, I'm gonna bring back to my N64 roots, I guess, but then I started thinking, I was like, maybe I should come up with a GameCube one. I can't do it right now. But the first two that popped out, Pokemon Puzzle League, which I want that game so bad. Pokemon Puzzle League, if you've not played this, Tim.
Oh, I played the living shit out of it. I preferred it when it was called Tetris Attack.
Yes,
but
it was based on Tetris.
I love
what
Pokemon
they
Puzzle
did
League,
with
though.
it in N64 was awesome. I reviewed it actually. I gave it a 9, I
Yeah.
think. And people at the time were like, a puzzle game? Like
Dude,
9?
that
It's
game's
so
so good. Panel de Pon, I think, is the original.
Oh, is that what
version
Tetris?
of the-
Yes, it is. Yeah, Tetris Attack is based on that. And then the other one that occurred to me maybe was something like Sin and Punishment, which you may or may not remember. But that'd be like a nice, fun little shooter.
Like, this is something totally random. I would love the Pokemon Stadium mini games.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever play those?
That's a good call.
Because those were like a multiplayer
I
classic.
know them.
back
I
in
didn't
the
really
day.
play a ton of Pokemon.
Oh
Snap.
my god! So
what
good.
about the best pictures from Pokemon Snap?
Oh my god!
Subjective. We're gonna go with numbers.
That was
His
great.
photos better.
Yeah, but well, that was the other thing too. Not to go on too long about
Yeah.
this. Sorry to
Sorry, I
people that are
love
annoyed
Nintendo,
by
it
it. Me
turns
too.
out.
But the fact that John Numbers, the champion from last time, was in the beginning not doing too well and had this amazing comeback to end up in the finals and then lose it.
Yeah.
It's like, what a great story.
Yeah.
Like, you can't write that shit.
Yep. That was real nice.
It was so much fun to watch. And also, there so many of the people there are actually like in esports. They're pro Smash players, pro Mario Kart players. So there was some highlight during the Mario Kart match. The guy that won, like the guy that had the best, like the number one in that round. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone play Mario Kart that way.
Yeah.
Like, they were constantly using the rear view camera. I'm like, I don't know that I've ever used the rear view camera. You know, it was insane. That's like awesome. There was a part where he was first, and the blue shell was coming at him, and once the noise started,
did he just like jump off?
He jumped off the course because he knew that would take less time to get put back on the course than it would to get hit.
Gotcha.
And I was like, that is insane.
Wow. Take a dive to get away from the blue shell. That's a pro tip right there.
Pro tip right there. So now it is time for the second story.
Yeah. Tim's got to take time code this week. He has Andy do it normally. I joked that's why they brought Fran on. They're like, all right, Fran, IGN Video, get him over here.
Let's get him. He needs to do that.
That's the real reason.
This comes from over at Kotaku. God Eater 3 gets its first trailer.
Yep.
The sci-fi action JRPG where tiny anime fighters slice up giant monsters is coming back for a third game. Bandai Namco released a teaser trailer for the game earlier today that shows God Eater 3's likely hero breaking free of some futuristic handcuffs in order to go pummel some Aragami, the series' main antagonist. The press release describes the game as, quote, team up with your other God Eaters to take down monstrous new Aragami that are tearing apart locations around the globe. But this won't be your only mission. Something is happening to the God Eaters, and the line between dark and light has never been so thin. It's time to start breaking free from the cursed shackles that bind the souls of the God Eaters, while the battle will rush as never before. A new God Eater project was first revealed at Tokyo Game Show 2016, where series producer Yusuke Tamazawa was wearing a God Eater 3 t-shirt, making the game all but officially announced until now. The first game was released on PSP in 2010, but was later ported to PS4, Vita, and PC in the form of a remake called God Eater Resurrection just last year. Though Bandai Namco didn't list specific platforms for the upcoming game, the press release does state God Eater 3 is being developed for the home console.
Yep. Don't get your hopes up too much for the trailer, though, because it's just a teaser. There's not really any gameplay in there.
Yeah.
But cool that they're showing more of it. I never played the original God Eaters.
God Eater, it's one of those games that it's a Caleb Lawson game. It's one of those like very, very, very Japanese games that has its audience and they love it. And I remember when it came back last year, people were really stoked about that.
Yeah.
I know we had a lot of best friends out there that are big on the franchise.
Yeah, it looks a little like a mix between like God of War and some other like combat games like that. Yeah. But I think it's good. Like, we need more of those games. It's not like there's a ton, so it's good to see it's out there.
Yeah, and it's good to see that people have been waiting for it for a while. So the fact there's a new one coming is like good for you guys. Number 3, this comes from the UK sales charts. Some interesting things here, friend.
Forza action.
Forza 7 down 22% from Forza 6, down 60% from Forza Horizon 3. So, some numbers here for you.
Yep.
Forza Motorsport 7 is below 30,000 units sold in the UK in its first week. The highest week one sales was for Forza Motorsport 4 with 106,000 units sold in the same time frame. Going down the list, number 1, FIFA 18. Number 2, Forza Motorsport 7. Then Forza Horizon 3. Destiny 2. At number 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, always on the list. And number 5, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, still there at number 6. Can't believe this game is selling so well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Then Lego Ninjago Movie, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, NBA 2K18, and Lego Worlds round out the list. So it is number 2. So it is still high on the charts, but that isn't a good sign. Under 30K.
Yeah, it's you could speculate that it's getting to the point where people are like, okay, Forza's amazing, but do something different. I saw there's some commentary out there, right? Did you have some?
Yeah, I got some commentary from people that wrote in here. They went to kindoffunny.com/KFGD to leave their questions, comments, and concerns. I hope they do something different for Forza 8 in 2019 because it's getting a little samey. And someone else said, that's why I like Horizon. Each entry feels different as opposed to the mainline series. And someone else said, at this point, it seems like the spin-off has overtaken the original. A lot of people seem to prefer the arcadey and open world nature of Horizon over the seriousness of regular Forza these days.
Yeah.
I think this is a big issue that Microsoft's running into where they're at a point where their franchises are getting kind of worn out. We've seen it now. Forza, Halo, their sales trajectories are down for their big, heavy-hitting exclusives.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also just think in the world of racing sims, like to your point, that's where like if you look at Gran Turismo, like that is for major gearheads. Not that Forza isn't, but Gran Turismo took a decline over the years. You know, I have the numbers even in front of me, but anecdotally, like when Gran Turismo was first launching, like it was huge because the realism it provided. But then call it samey, it kind of became for those gearheads, you know, that buy the steering wheel at home and the brake system, everything. And as it's evolved, Gran Turismo serves that purpose heavily. Forza does as well. Beautiful game, by the way.
And I feel like a lot of people have moved over to Forza as being the premier racing game.
Yeah, people like it a lot.
The sim genre.
Yeah.
But just once you get to 7, in addition to the spin-off games being at, I think, 4.
Mm-hmm. But I was going to say, like, when you contrast it with Horizon, like, that's the conversation. It's like, oh, you know what? Do we just want to, like, go drive through the forest all of a sudden and go do that? Or do you want the gearhead stuff? And I think, you know, the one important thing I'll say is if you like those types of games, go out and buy it. Because these kinds of sales declines, next thing you know, you're like, whoa, where's Forza lately? All they have is Horizon. Well, if you don't support these types of games, I mean, I do think it's worth saying, you might end up in a situation where those games aren't out there anymore. We see that happen sometimes.
Obviously, there's a lot of commotion about the microtransaction stuff from Forza last week. And then Turn 10 came and was like, oh, we're going to fix it this way and this way. A lot of people are theorizing that, like, oh, this sales hit is due to that. I don't think so. I think the general public isn't aware of those type of things, and they're still going to buy the game. And I think that it's going to take a lot of these microtransaction issues over and over and over to become a trend in the industry going away. You know?
Yeah, I'd also have to look at the time gap between releases. That's also just something that happens sometimes. Like if it was a bigger wait before the 6, right? I think it was. Between 5 and 6 was a bigger wait, and so that's more... Actually, and wasn't 5 on Xbox
I don't
360?
know.
I forget.
Let us know. kindoffunny.com/you're wrong.
But the point is time gap can also affect sales. So when you're comparing like those... delta differences in percent sold, like that, there's a lot to that story, and also you're only basing on a very small sample.
Exactly, it is just the UK sales charts, but yeah, it's definitely a sign. And I mean, those numbers are big. Like that's a big percentage drop. Another thing to keep in mind is this game is kind of the showcase title for the Xbox One X, so maybe it'll have a kind of resurgence when that system comes out, especially since there's not much else in terms of exclusives on in the Microsoft side of things.
Than Cuphead.
Which is so damn good. Oh my God, I love it so much. And then the final story for the day comes from Eurogamer. Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a loot crate problem. Hold on, I gotta take the time code here. 1, 2, 3, 50. All right. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a loot crate problem instead of a progression system. The only way to get new abilities and weapons in Battlefront 2 is from opening loot crates bought either with in-game currency or real-world currency, price to be determined. Either you randomly receive the ability or weapon directly from the loot crate, or you randomly receive an amount of scrap to go towards eventually crafting it, although scrap costs are high and amounts are received tortuously low. Star card abilities in Battlefront 2 change not only how regular, assault, heavy, officer, and specialist soldier classes play, as well as interceptor, bomber, and fighter spaceship classes. They also change how Battlepoint unlocks power-up players play. characters play, all the way up to the iconic heroes and villains of Star Wars lore. Your options are getting lucky when opening a combination of daily loot crates, gifted loot crates, and earning loot crates for leveling up, or when opening loot crates bought with in-game currency. But as Sorry, this is spelled wrong.
Typo, perhaps.
But as in-game currency is awarded at a flat rate for a team regardless of performance, this could take a long time. It gets worse when you consider there are bronze, silver, and gold versions of each star card, plus a fourth tier I'm not sure the name of. For instance, Boba Fett has a star card ability called Death from Above, which grants him damage reduction while jetpacking and using rocket barrage. Its lowest tier damage reduction, bronze, is 50%, and its highest tier, 100%. That's a huge difference. So not only are you now after the full collection of star cards, you're after the best versions of them, and again, you can individually upgrade them by spending scrap, but you're given too little and too randomly to make this reliably viable. Wouldn't it be easier if you had a big pile of money to spend on a stack of loot crates instead? Yes. In other words, Battlefront 2, a full price game, is pay to win.
Yes, this is where like you try to copy what Overwatch is doing with loot crates and stuff, and they've done it pretty successfully because you're mostly talking about, you know, in-game voices, highlight intros, animations, vanity stuff, truly vanity stuff. As soon as you put ability stuff, anything that can affect your gameplay, you are playing with fire. And then, arguably as well, like you can just get some of the stuff in the game, but it takes forever. Mm-hmm. So the incentive seems to be to pay. I have not played enough to make that judgment myself, but man, people are out there really tearing it apart right now.
Yeah, and dude, it's so unfortunate. I feel like every day it's just a different one of these stories recently as we hit this like kind of fall rush of the AAA third-party games. Even first party, like we're seeing it with Forza, the NBA 2K18 had a huge issue, but at the same time you see things like WWE 2K18 that aren't handling it right. It seems so far. But then, EA with this is like, this is such to add insult to injury on a lot of the stuff. I feel like they just are fucking this up royally.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, we'll have to see how it goes. Get your voice out there because they do listen. And honestly, that's part of what I notice the publishers and developers do is, and sometimes it's pushed on the developer, right? They say, look, you got to do it. So you got to remember that. The developers don't always want to do what the publisher wants to do to make money. But they put it out there, and if you respond and don't buy those things, or you respond with a lot of negativity, well, they might change those things.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 has gone through a few of those cycles. Everybody was pretty worried about
the shaders and all that.
It was like there was gear dropping, but it was not actually for power. You could buy stuff for experience, but like at the end of the day, most of that stuff didn't really affect the game, but the conversation is very touchy. So yeah, I guess the short of it is Battlefront 2, the loot box gate that is happening right now. We'll have to see how it develops. It's a concern for sure.
Yeah. A user wrote in, God of Steel, less of a question and more of a rant, but still disgusting. That's the one word that comes to mind when thinking about the star card / loot crate system in Star Wars Battlefront 2. It seems like making all post-release DLC free was EA's way of compensating for this disaster. And let's not kid ourselves, a disaster this surely is. To summarize the situation, well, we already did. I'm slowly seeing my favorite franchises and genres taken over by this filthiness. When will it stop? I don't see backlash to this kind of behavior from the mass audience, so I don't think they're not going anywhere, which is frustrating. Thank you guys for sticking through this rant and keep up the good work. Yeah, I mean, like we were just saying, like you do got to vote with your wallet. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough because it's the people that are just throwing money at this stuff that want that shit, that they're the whales.
I was going to say, they call them the whales. So if there's enough of them out there, sometimes they overpower the other side of the community. But again, we'll have to see how it really affects the gameplay as you play the full experience. Like, can you truly just kind of get what you need through the game without buying any of this stuff, or is it really heavily incentivized and trapped in some of this stuff?
I mean, I do think that we will see a shift away from this in the coming years, but me and Greg talk about this a lot. It's going to just open up the doors for something else that people don't like. Because we saw before with the free-to-play. Before that, it was season passes. Before that, it was just DLC and map packs and, splintering communities and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, DLC is like a great one to look at because, again, some of it's subjective. Like, in some games, people are like, you withheld it from the game. But how do you quantify that $60 you've spent and the work they've put into the game, the millions that they've spent on it? Meaning it's hard to tell. like Destiny, same thing. That is literally the conversation right now. There's DLC in December. People played 200 hours of the game, and now it feels like it's kind of dried up until December. I don't know what I'm grinding for. And now, of course, they start saying, no, you withheld all this content in December. I don't know if that's really the case. There's a ton of content in Destiny. I've heard all kinds of people that are loving it. Two sides to the story, as always, but it's a trend is kind of what I'm getting at. When DLC was first coming out, it was definitely more of that. You're withholding the game content. What is this plan? How could you possibly, back then especially too, it's not on the disc, or in some cases it was already there.
Yeah.
And that's where it really turned into a discussion where it was like, wait, you're unlocking stuff that I actually have already in my physical realm. So anyway.
And that is still an issue. We still see that type of stuff today, but the publishers and devs have learned that gets bad headlines, and you don't want bad headlines about your games being written up by Eurogamer, Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot. Like that can ruin a large part of your audience. Not the entire thing, maybe not even enough to like fuck what you're doing, but enough to make a dent.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. There's enough DLC and learnings over the many years that people are like, okay, I kind of know how to message DLC and talk about it. With loot crates and stuff, it's actually still a developing story. And especially, like, really what happened, it came from mobile, and they saw the bazillions of dollars people were making on even just vanity items. And now they've tried to translate that to full-fledged blockbuster type games. But the point is they're learning still. So yeah, we'll see where this one goes.
We'll definitely have to see.
Good luck to you, EA.
Now it is time for the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday. Not much out today. It's a Monday, slow day. Gone Astray is out on the PC. And the Gran Turismo Sport free limited time demo that you mentioned is now available. So you can go check that out if you have a PlayStation 4.
Beautiful game.
You said you played it. Did you like it?
Yeah, I've always liked Gran Turismo. It's just a beautiful racer. I have not played enough to like really deem it, whether it's better than the previous ones. But play it in 4K HDR if you can.
Oh, yeah?
It's gorgeous.
What TV do you got?
I actually have the Sony OLED TV.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got my show horse TV after I had the Pioneer Kuro forever, a plasma.
I didn't know you had a Kuro.
Yeah, I had a Kuro Elite, for many years, and I sat on that and sat on it. Finally, I was like, okay, I got to go LCD or OLED, and I actually bought an LCD, and it was gorgeous, a Sony LCD, but I'm so picky. I brought it back. I was like, there's things happening with it that I didn't like. LED, sorry, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, I took it back and I got the sort of show horse.
I have the LG C6 OLED.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, so those, I would say if you're going to get, OLEDs, those are some of the most affordable. The C6 and the B7, is it?
Well, that 6 was last year. 7's this year.
Sorry, you can get either.
The B and C.
But the B and C's are great.
They're
C is for
fucking
curved.
fantastic.
They're gorgeous.
It's curved in 3D. I had to do it because I have so many 3D.
I have the I think the C. Wait, you have the C or B?
I have the C6.
Yeah, I think the C7. I don't think it has 3D anymore, right?
Oh, probably not.
That it does. They kind of got rid of it. So if you do like 3D, it's still in the C6. Get it while you can. I have the A1E, I believe.
Yeah, dude, the Sonys, they're beautiful, man.
They're gorgeous.
They're both the LGs and the Sonys. It's like right now, those are the top TVs, and playing games on it is just like unfair.
The Sonys are overpriced, but I'll say two things about it. One, the acoustic panel is so cool. The whole TV is an acoustic panel, so there's no speakers, which in a small apartment like San Francisco, all I have is my TV. Sounds
good
great.
To go.
Yeah, it vibrates this entire panel that they put in there and creates sound across the panel.
Interesting.
It's so cool. So it comes through your TV screen.
How big is it? Is it 65?
It's 65,
yeah.
And then the other thing that Sony has going for it is their processing, which is just awesome, and that's the reason I shifted towards Sony's. They have all of their processing, which is just gorgeous. So it can take HDR raw content like HDR10, and that translates over time. It gets better over time. It's just the way they handle it. The LG TVs look incredible.
They're it's fucking so beautiful.
Anyway,
so beautiful.
TV show another time, maybe.
Let's see. Right here, we got some new dates for you. Fear Effect Sedna, the crowdfunded sequel to the original action-adventure game, will be released in early 2018. The launch window was revealed on Twitter, along with the announcement that in addition to Xbox One, PS4, and PC, the game will also be released for Nintendo Switch. Fear Effect Sedna is being developed by French indie studio Sushi. The game had a successful Kickstarter campaign last year, and it's said to be a new Fear Effect with completely new gameplay rather than being Fear Effect 3. Sushi is also behind the upcoming Fear Effect remake titled Fear Effect Reinvented, which is coming in 2018 as well. The remake will be released on Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. Now it's time for Reader Mail, friends.
That's all you guys talk about game releases? Tomorrow or tonight is Shadow of War, though. So I'm going to throw that out there.
Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, we do
Well,
game
how
releases.
that
It's
works.
day by day. This is
But it's 9
This is
p.m.
kind of
tonight.
funny games daily.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Tuesday's your big game release.
Yeah, there's
day.
so
But,
many.
like,
On Thursdays as well.
the
for
midnight
Nintendo.
releases
Yeah.
is like Monday night can be a big
Technically.
one, obviously.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
If you're on the West Coast. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that game.
This comes from Javier Bonet. Hey, Tim and Fran. Or Bonet, I guess it probably is. Hey, Tim and Fran. As we get closer to 2018, the Game Awards are getting closer. My question is, what is your game of the year so far? And is there any game coming up that might be a contender for your game of the year?
Super Mario Odyssey.
Super Mario Odyssey is the one that might be a contender.
And Zelda for me was already way up there. Outside of that, I got to catch up and play more.
Yeah. Right now, the ones up, I mean, Zelda is my forerunner, and I don't think it's going to be beat.
Yeah.
But Zelda, PUBG is
Yeah.
up there for me, despite
sure.
it being early access.
Yeah, that's an interesting
It is, but whatever.
Well, if it comes out on Xbox One X and Xbox and all that, that would be a full release.
Well, but still, it's still early access. It'd be in the Xbox game preview. Thing,
Is it?
right?
I thought it was supposed to be like a full regular release. It's still
that's not coming
weird
until
for
next
Game of the
year.
Year, by the way, but it could happen.
Yeah.
So.
And then what are the other ones?
Cuphead?
Cuphead's up there for me, man. I love that game so damn much. And in my personal game of the year discussion on my top 10, Sonic Mania, I got to give a shout out to.
Oh, man,
But
yeah.
it's like, let's be real, that's not the game of the year, you know? Horizon's up there as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, like the more I think back on it and like comparing that to Zelda and to some of the other games I've played, it's like it is a fantastic game. And it's just, unfortunately, I think it's going to get drowned out because 2017 was just so insanely like dense with amazing
There's a
experiences.
ton. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Horizon and even like Zelda. They're in an interesting spot where they're so early in the year, and I find with the Games Press, that magic moment that we all sort of experienced in March or April, whenever it was, you come forward to now, and Super Mario Odyssey comes out, and Cuphead comes out, and Shadow War comes out, and like the magic is now kind of on those games. Like like Super Mario Odyssey, I think is going to dominate the discussion. I've not played enough to know, but I know how Nintendo does games. And when they make a game like Super Mario Odyssey, they don't mess around.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. So meaning, I feel like there's going to be this shift in conversation so strong to Mario that Zelda's incredible, but it's like that magic shifts a little more to Mario. I think, assuming that it's amazing.
We'll see. And that's my thing is I'm still like, the people have heard me say this a lot. Like the jury's out on Mario Odyssey for me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I know
I've
it's going to
not
be
played.
amazing, but the question is how amazing. Because the thing with Zelda to me is, and I know this isn't the most popular opinion, but it's also not an opinion that I'm alone in, is Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game.
Yeah.
And I think for me, and that's my thing. And it's like, I never thought Link to the Past would be beat. Yeah. Never thought. And in my opinion, it was. And my question is Mario Odyssey going to make me think that about Mario games?
Yeah, the big thing with Breath of the Wild, man, was it defied expectation. Like I just did not know they were going to do that. The fact they drop you in this open world and you just like go anywhere. You know, even when they said ahead of time, like you can go straight to Ganon. I was like, whatever that means. Like, sure, once you know how to do everything. But it turns out like that way they made the game over that next ledge. And that for me, like Zelda's top of my list right now because I've always loved Zelda. I know some people that didn't like this Breath of the Wild. I really did. And the best way to put it for me was I like linear experiences, actually. I like you to, for the most part, go here.
Me too.
Maybe go back here, but tell me where to go because I don't have time. And so when I got into Zelda, and it's not that type of game, but I kept exploring, I was like, I kind of want to go over here and then do this next thing. It really captured that like few games do. And so it was really magical in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I know that like we sound like Nintendo fans, and we are. But it's like we bring up the word magic, and I think that that's something that is fairly unique to Nintendo games. And I think Zelda specifically, like, yeah, it's easy to look back on that game and talk about the faults that it had and to be critical of many things. The story being kind of non-existent, the shrines being a little samey in terms of looks and things like that. It's like, yeah, no, I'm well aware of all of that. However, when that game dropped, everyone was talking about it. Everyone had their own experiences. And it's like that to me is what makes a game of the year. And that's why I think PUBG is in the conversation because that game is the game of the year in terms of conversation.
Yeah. So it's really, I don't know if we have time to spend on this right now, but
we do
for another. Okay. So game of the year for me, that is the perfect example of how hard it is to determine game of the year. And so those are the two games that I was going to use the example. They both have this magical heart to them that putting aside the polish or the breadth of what Breath of the Wild is versus PUBG, which was like one level right now. And I've played a ton of PUBG and a ton of Zelda, so I can compare those two. But like PUBG is like broken.
Yep.
It's not like it's a graphical prowess.
Yeah, no, it's glitchy as fuck.
Yeah, it's not even like that good of a shooter, let's call it. I mean, it's fine in that sense, but it's not like a super refined shooter doesn't have campaign at all. But man, it captured just this really brilliant new idea. And the way that they implemented it was, I don't even think they expected it. Everybody just latched on. But so the way I do it, when I look at Game of the Year, those things matter to me. That honestly, like the graphics are just kind of a mess. It's got all these glitches, and some of that's fun. I really enjoy PUBG. It's very replayable, but it's a little redundant in that sense. So meaning if I'm going to compare the two, I look at the magic. So PUBG has created a brand new trend. So you got to weigh in on that. It's going to affect gaming for years to come. Look at Fortnite, Battle Royale is happening right now. But I look at something like Zelda and the refinement and the polish and the time that they spent on all these little details. I tend to weigh more in that direction. In other words, this trend and influence is only going to last for so long. But when I go back to Breath of the Wild, I know it will always be this very refined, special thing for me. So anyway, talking about how you judge Game of the Year, it's different for everyone. Like Hellblade's going to come up, by the way. I don't know if you played Hellblade.
I didn't,
on PS4,
but Greg did and loved it.
All about the story, and story matters so much to some people. And this one is a really like interesting one. It's about mental illness. Some people going in didn't even realize that. And so, games all have their own merits. There's no right or wrong game of the year.
That's the beautiful thing, especially this year. It's like we're winners here. Like holy crap. The fact that the Game of the Year discussion is this crowded. I don't think we've ever seen something like this. I remember back being at IGN, like obviously IGN takes Game of the Year very seriously. Yeah. And the discussions that would be had, it's like, people would throw a bunch of games and everyone had their own things. Like Hellblade, for example, isn't going to win Game of the Year.
Probably not.
But there are going to be people that are going to bring it up and fight for it and be like, I think this is Game of the Year. Yeah. But it's like, those games would get weeded out so quickly, where it was just like, it would come down to, at any point, 2 games, right? Like I can't remember a year where it was like a discussion between more than this or this. Yeah. And then everyone would kind of come down to the camps and there'd be votes on like deciding which is IGN's Game of the Year. And this year I think it's going to be a lot harder. Oh, especially if Odyssey delivers.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, this just reminded me of the biggest upset in Game of the Years at IGN ever for me, which was Metroid Prime against Battlefield 1942. And I played the crap out of Battlefield 1942. I was late nights. We were on LANs at IGN back then and setting up our own servers. And I played a ton, but glitchy. Really, actually, it compares so... it is so similar to the PUBG conversation because Battlefield 1942 was like clunky, but you could do all these amazing things in this world. And then you had Metroid Prime, which was just like they reinvented Metroid in 3D, something I didn't think could be done, and so refined. The pace, the graphics, etc. I was obviously on Metroid Prime side. I was super upset when we gave it to Battlefield 1942.
I can imagine.
I love that game. Yeah. But it was too clunky for me. It was too glitchy, and it just didn't have that refinement and specialty, which again is what I look for. There's no right or wrong. So that's a little Game of the Year rant for you.
Hell yeah, man. I fucking love it. So going back to the original question, talking about the Game Awards, what do you think?
Sorry.
No. I mean, we answered, he had multiple questions in there. But with the Game Awards, what game do you think is going to win? Because I think it's Zelda without a doubt.
Yeah, like if you look at the question for not personally me, I really do think, Zelda is by far one of the strongest contenders, just because, again, Nintendo doesn't release big games like that very often, and look at the special feeling that Nintendo World Championships delivered. So they have a lot of the hearts out there in the gaming press, and Zelda was incredible. I really do think Mario Odyssey, it's funny to say without playing it, and especially me coming from, heavier on the media side and reviews, like, you don't want to judge a game before you played it. But I've played enough of it and seen enough that I'm like, I really think it's going to be a stunner. So I think that's going to be way up there. Horizon's going to contend, absolutely.
But specifically with the Game Awards.
I am.
Jeff Keighley's Game Awards.
Overall game. I am talking about that one. Yeah. They're not the VMAs anymore. They're just the
VGAs.
Game Awards.
Yeah, just the Game Awards.
That is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, meaning the press at large. What they do, they select from each outlet's like main people. So yeah, look, I'm stretching it out, but I think Zelda's gonna win. Yeah, I really do. But I think there's some very strong contenders that we just went through, and I was kind of talking myself through it because man, it is such a good year. But yeah, probably Zelda. If I had to guess.
1 second. Nick from New Zealand says, Hello, Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host. In my little corner of the world, there are Switches aplenty, so I don't need to fight off 5-year-olds to claim one. The only thing holding me back currently is the price. My question is, do you anticipate a price drop from Nintendo for the holiday period, or am I best to wait for a retailer to discount them during a sale?
No discount.
Not a chance.
No way.
No way. It's selling way too well. We're finally at a point now where, at least anecdotally, I'm seeing on Twitter and across the internet, the Switches are becoming available.
Yeah.
Where they're actually in stock and you can just go to a store and buy one.
Yeah.
Where if you wanted to buy a Switch, you could probably spend a couple hours going to different stores and you'll get one.
Yeah, it's getting a lot better, by the way. I was just talking to Pear about that this week, and he went to Target over the weekend, and he took some photos that there was like several just sitting there in stock. So we're finally getting to that point. Now the holiday rush is coming.
And it will be gone.
So yeah, I was going to say, do not take for granted that we're in a little gap. So if you want to switch, now is probably the time to figure it out, because within the next like 3 weeks or so, certainly into November, it's going to get.
I mean, yeah, it's going
to be getting tricky.
The time is now already.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that they're going to start going quickly for the holiday. I mean, whenever consoles always have this issue during the holiday season, whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, specifically handheld, cheaper things on the cheaper side. Like Nintendo's had an issue. Or, I mean, Nintendo hasn't had an issue. People have had issues trying to get 3DSs for years. Vita was the same way, just because there's something about the portability that it makes a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
So families are buying these things into droves.
Yep. Yeah, actually, the thing to look for, October 27th, when Super Mario Odyssey hits, I think it could have a similar Zelda effect, right? Like, this game's amazing. Zelda's tie ratio was insane. It was larger than the amount of consoles sold.
Yeah.
Zelda sold more copies than the console itself, because people were buying, like, I
Digital
think limited
and
editions,
physical.
digital. Yeah, and they ended up doubling up because
insane.
the hype was so. But even one.
And then Mario Kart 8 was another amazing attach. I mean, so far the attach rate for Switch games has been just insane. Like, even down to the new IP like ARMS, it's ridiculous. Like, last numbers that they put out, it had sold over 1 million copies for new IP.
It's crazy.
That's that kind of.
I wouldn't have expected that from
Like,
ARMS now.
yeah. So they're really doing something crazy here. And Odyssey, I mean, come on, like that's going to be a 1-to-1 attach rate.
If you want to switch,
Or at
get
least
out
close.
there. And then also, I don't know if you've seen these mods for Switch at all, by the way, Tim. You can mod.
The Joy-Cons?
Yeah, we're doing a video on IGN. I think it goes up today or tomorrow. Pear got a couple.
The Atomic Purple, man. So sexy.
There's so many cool things you can do, but you can like redo the casing and everything, and it's dope looking. So if you have a Switch, go do that. If you don't have a Switch yet, seriously, you should get one. It's one of the like you were talking about this year. There's so many games. I just don't have time. Like, I really want to play Fortnite Battle Royale. Like, I got too much going on. Destiny, again, I'm sorry to bring it up. I just, like, I have to play it. It's part of my life and my job now. But there's so much to play, and we're so lucky to have that. But Switch, there's so many tiny games, from developers. And what I mean by tiny, smaller house.
eShop titles.
Yeah,
Golf
developers,
Story.
Smaller dev houses, but they're really good. There's an endless supply of incredible games on it. It's really, really good right now.
I mean, it's funny because, like, if you're not a Nintendo guy, I get it. But if you enjoy Nintendo games at all, the Switch's first year has just been unreal.
Yeah.
And the amount of quality games, especially now when we're getting a Zelda and a Mario, plus the ports of Mario Kart and all Splatoon and ARMS and all stuff, it's like waiting for a price drop. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Because it's there already.
It is not going to happen.
And it's not going to happen for a long time.
And they priced it very competitively to begin with. So if anything, it might go up in price again. I'm just kidding. But,
well, like
the
bundles
eBay
and all
effect
that
and
stuff.
yeah, like when it sells out again, next thing you know, you're trying to buy something for $380. So.
I'm James Grex says, good day, you beautiful bastards. Over the weekend, I did something that may be a little unethical. I hacked my SNES Mini. That's right. Using a downloaded program, I was able to access the SNES's files and put in some downloaded ROMs. Chrono Trigger, Donkey Kong Country 2, Turtles in Time are amongst the handful of games I installed. My question, what are your thoughts on this? Am I a horrible person?
If you own those games, that's fine. You voided your warranty, so I'm pretty sure you did anyway. But
no, definitely.
If you own the games, it's fine. Obviously, if you don't own those games, well, that's bad.
Yeah. I mean,
if that's what he's asking about.
Absolutely.
You can mod your systems all you want, though. It just voids your warranty. You can do whatever. But if the conversation is, yeah, right. It seems like he's asking, should I have downloaded these ROMs? Is that the question?
Well, the thing is, I feel like just ethically and with all this, I mean, it is stealing. So it is, period, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like some things are more wrong than others, whatever. The way I see it is support. Like, he obviously bought this thing. He obviously wants to support this.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate that there is some holes in the library available. And I'm always a fan of supporting things. And it's like, I I know this is wrong, but the amount of music I've illegally downloaded, the amount of movies I've illegally downloaded, all of this stuff, it's like that's the culture. However, I make sure to give back as much as possible. I make sure to buy and support things, and it's like this. If you want that experience, if you want to be able to play Donkey Kong Country 2, you should be able to play Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah. I think you look at something like Donkey Kong Country 2. I don't know if it's available in the eShop on some other platform or whatever.
It is on like Wii U.
But there you go. So what I would say is I believe it is your duty to go and buy that game if it is fairly priced. You can put it on your system, but I believe it's your duty to still support that stuff. Even though you can look at it and say Nintendo has sold this thing a billion times over. Rare is like moved on. But if you want future games funded correctly and you want the next Switch to be better than this version, all that plays into it. And like just black and white, it is still stealing. But again, if you're supporting and doing your job out there, maybe you just tried it out. I think there's little room to breathe there. But I really think it is important that you know, it's the ripple effect. Just be careful of those.
The story of it is, it's bad. It is wrong.
Yeah.
But
I
just
can't
be a good
endorse
person.
stealing.
Just be a good person.
That is my general mantra.
Exactly. And it should be.
Bill and Ted put it best.
Yes. Be excellent to each other.
Okay.
Let's see. I want a good one here. You know, we got some Fran ones. We're going to end on these.
Oh, some Frans.
Kasdan Risk says, what's your favorite shader in Destiny 2?
Oh, now you've really hit one on the nose there. Ooh, I don't know that I have one. Golden Trace is really awesome. And I really like Calluses selected on certain things from the raid. Amalon Meteor Gloss is awesome. I can't just pick one right now because I'm still putting together my tower casuals, as you guys know. But yeah,
as you guys know,
shader system is pretty solid in Destiny 2 right now. The vault system, not so much, but different discussion.
Chris Ostertag wants to know, have you found the third thing yet?
Oh, I hate you, Chris.
I don't need, what's he referencing here?
You know what he's referencing if you forgot.
The third
Okay,
thing?
First of all, Chris Ostertag was the first video tech, that we hired at IGN. So what happened?
Is this the hamster thing?
No. So when Chris Ostertag left IGN, and he's now down at Austin City Limits, right? Chris is a great friend of mine. He's great friends with all of us. So when Chris left IGN, he had already been doing a few things to me. For example, on my keyboard, he popped the keys and switched the letters around. But I'm really excellent at typing, so I never really noticed. But this is how patient he was. Weeks went by, who knows, maybe months. And I don't know what was happening. My hands were off, and I looked down and I was punching it in, and I realized that once I was looking, I was punching in the wrong letters. I was like, those are backwards. He switched the K and J, so it was KJ instead of JK or whatever. So anyway, that was one of the first things. Then this is how he also knows I'm so kind of crazy like this, very,
meticulous.
Small, meticulous. There's a good, nice euphemism for it, Tim. So the other thing he did was I was sitting there and I noticed I was listening to something and something either went by or whatever, but the stereo pan was backwards. He swapped, I think, just my speaker cables or whatever, and he swapped those around, but it was so subtle. Most people wouldn't even notice, but he knew eventually he'd get me. There's a third thing.
I don't know what it is.
I forget how it came up. I think when he left IGN, he said, you never found the third thing. And this was 8 years ago or whatever. It's crazy.
That's a long time ago.
And he acts like I'm still going to find it. And I'm I don't understand. Is it still, where could it be? The truth is, I don't search for these things. That's part of what makes it funny, I think. But dude, there's a third thing. If any of you know what is the third thing, tell me. The last thing I'll say is at his wedding, though, this is a funny story. I got him a card and put in, you can get these little, don't do this to your friends. I know you're all going to do it now. You can go to Amazon or eBay and you buy these little chirpers. They just, every once in a while on a timer, they emit this high cricket chirping sound. So you can go put it somewhere really annoying and people don't know where it's coming from. So I got one and I bought him a bathroom candle. For his wedding and with the card and blah, blah. So they go and they put all this stuff back in their closet they got home. They didn't really open stuff up, turns out. So about 1 or 2 a.m. or something, it's beep, beep. and his dad or parents, one side of the family's parents were like searching crazily for this beeping sound because they took it. Sorry, their parents took the gift home. It wasn't Chris.
Oh.
So their parents took it home. So that was like my retaliation. I felt so bad because their parents were like losing sleep, but it was pretty hilarious. That was my one thing.
So my favorite thing is that people just fuck with you so much,
all the
and it's
time.
so great. But I remember there was like those little hamsters. Like there were toy hamsters that also made like random sounds every once in a while.
Oh.
And above your, like there was like 4 of them that they put around your desk, but one of them they hid in the rafters, like in the ceiling.
Oh my God. IGN, has always been a fun place for that. So it's pretty amazing.
Oh my God.
Any other Fran questions?
Andre Seegers just says 7.9. It's not a question.
Also
just a
ex-IGN.
statement. Neha wants to know, what's your favorite cologne of the moment? Also, hair resume?
If you want to get into both, that could take a while, but I'll try to shorten it up. Cologne, Sauvage by Dior. Sauvage is good. I think it's got a Johnny Depp like ad or something, but it's SAU, VAGE, Sauvage. So that is a really excellent daytime and nighttime cologne for you, boys or girls. Could work for both. And then let's see, hair regimen. It depends, but you got to clarify. You know, make sure you clarify a couple times a week. You're putting in a lot of product. Tim, do you clarify?
I don't know what clarifying is, Fran. Can you clarify for me?
I'm going to have to get you some clarity.
Yeah?
I will clarify what clarifying means. If you use the same shampoos and the same products, that stuff builds up. And so you need something else to strip it off. So there's some more intense stuff. Nothing crazy, but they're just clarifying shampoos. So you do it like once a week. There's one from Bumble and Bumble called Sunday, for example. You do it once a week on Sunday if you want. I use something much nicer from Philip. Who is it? Philip someone. Anyway, it has some peppermint and avocado in it. So that's, I don't want to go too far down the road there.
You once told me hair is power.
Hair is
And you said if your hair moves, it's a sign of weakness.
Sign of weakness. I stole that from 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin.
I love it. I love it so much. But so you once also told me that you need to condition, but not every night.
Everybody thinks that if you get conditioner, it's just like part of the regimen. Yeah. But no, you kind of got to figure out your hair type. And so it's funny, I've told a few people at work, like the people who I would never expect to ask me, like our facilities dude, Pablo. He like randomly asked me. And I think, was it you or Greg that I told? I think it was Greg.
Both of us. It was on the VidCon
you
trip.
were like, what? I just use it every day.
Yeah.
And then you did it like every several days. You're like, it's so much better.
It is.
Because it builds up.
Yeah.
It makes your hair all heavy. So just like try to condition like once every few days and see if it helps you out.
And the final question comes from Jeremy Conrad. Can you have him tell the story of Fran Goat? This is one I don't even know this. This is like before my time.
Okay, if you look up Fran Goat GIF, you probably can find it. IGN Fran Goat GIF. Please don't though. There's a picture with like my face on a goat, which has this gnarly beard, who's actually Tal Blevin's beard. So Matt Casamassina, I believe, made this. I don't think it was Pear, but this is way back in the IGN Nintendo days of yore. But it was when I first started. So we used to have our mailbag, just like this actually. And in the mailbag, like you would just do like ridiculous stuff. You'd make GIFs of all the other coworkers, and you'd play ridiculous pranks. Like we used to actually have, as part of the IGN Cube mailbag, we had the GameCube Master, who was actually from what movie is it? It just blanked. I'll come back to it another time. But anyway, we had all these characters. So Fran Goat was one of them. And it's just this nasty, it's my face, but it's like nasty towel beard, and it's like chewing on grass, and it's just lived with me for like over a decade now. So that's Fran Goat for you.
Oh, there's so much shit like that you just have to live with.
I get requests still, on Twitch and stuff. They're like, add Fran Goat. And I'm like, I don't think that many people know what Fran Goat is. But apparently,
got to keep it alive.
It's still a thing.
Got to keep it alive. Now it's time for Squad Up. You can go to kindoffunny.com/KFGD to let people know what games you need to squad up in, just like Reddy did. Reddy is playing on PlayStation 4. He says, I am level 282 Hunter. Still haven't been able to finish the Nightfall Strike or the raid. It would be great if some Kind of Funny best friends hit me up on PSN to help me get through the milestones before the weekly reset tomorrow. I also play FIFA 18 regularly. His PSN username is the R9 Phenomenon. The R9 Phenomenon. Hit him up. Make some magic happen.
Do you guys have a kind of funny Destiny clan? Do you know?
I am not the person to ask about
I bet
that.
you.
I imagine we
double
do.
check. Just double check. But either way, if the kind of funny fam has not started the Destiny 2 clan, get out there and then you can Sherpa this guy.
Find the people. But yeah, Sherpa him, man. Sherpa, the R9 phenomenon. Now it's time for Kind of Funny Games Daily You're Wrong section. This is where you can go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and let us know all things we got wrong. Capitalist Pig says, Fran gave Pokemon Puzzle League an 8.9, not a 9.
What? Really?
A minor detail, yes, but still wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page considering how well people remember 7.9.
It's funny that I brought it up on the show that I was like, I gave it a 9, and I'm like, that game's great. And it is, by the way. That's what 8.9 means. I apparently have a habit of like, almost. It's pretty darn great, but missed it by that much. I love that game.
Ignacio Rojas says, last week Tim asked why the GameCube is abbreviated as GCN and not NGC. Apparently, NGC is a trademark of National Geographic Channel in the US, and that might be why they decided to go with GCN and not NGC. The other is that NGC is close to the abbreviation for the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah. I don't know if the abbreviations I don't think matter.
They're not an official thing.
I don't think it's trademark. Actually, we have a story on IGN about which one it's going to be. And so I forget why they decided it was going to be GameCube Nintendo. My guess is they wanted people thinking of GC first. And it wasn't like N64. So, by the way, they had considered naming it StarCube.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the names out there. That was in my early days. I was sleuthing news. I found a registration for StarCube.com, and it was registered by the same account that had the address for Pokemon in the Whois registry. And that's how I was like, this is Nintendo. So we narrowed down the list. Yeah, and we actually launched IGN Cube before we knew if it was going to be called GameCube or StarCube. And that's why it was called IGN Cube and not IGN GameCube for the longest time.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go.
Piece of history.
Nintendo history there. And then finally, that's it. That's it. That's all we got wrong. Sculpinger said that I didn't do the jingle for the thing. You're right. I'm bad at these jingles and stuff. I'm sorry.
The Roper
Greg,
Report?
we did the Roper Report. It was the games that are coming out today.
Oh, it's got a jingle?
Yeah, there you go. That was for you. But anyway, Greg will return tomorrow with Andrew and Renee, both of them, back from New York. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, Fran, thank you so much for joining me. This was so much fantastic. Fun. But we got to get you on GOG and we got to get you on Gamescast.
Let Fran host.
Let Fran fucking host.
On there. I'm stealing Tim's stuff
Let's
now.
do it, man.
I'm excited.
I love it.
I love this place. My first time here. I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, your first time in the studio.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I want to get back when, Greg and the whole team is back. Kevin's out in Rome still.
Yeah, man. Rome. It's crazy. Yeah, it's kind of a mess right now because we've been doing some Let's Plays, but
it's all right.
It's a nice place.
You guys are doing a great job over here, by the way.
Thank you. So now what we're going to do is the lights are going to turn off and we're going to shake hands.
I know how that goes.
There you go.
I'm ready.
Go for it, Greg. Oh, just turn it off.
What do we do? Like